Good evening. I want to say to Cynthia and everyone else that we are very, very, very thankful that we have this opportunity to be here and that we're visiting this wonderful university here. And we're very, very grateful of all the opportunities that you've given us. And we're just so happy about how wonderful everyone has been.
What we wanted to talk about now is more what we have, or what we're trying to do as individuals. So let's start with the very beginning. Like, what's the meaning of Ulafa'a? So Ulafa'a comes from the Arabic word. It's a plural word, and it means a group of people who share common feelings or have common ground in one way or another. So we thought that would be kind of a really interesting name to adapt and represent us in a way. So our goals and objectives were actually not really to fix things. We're just like a group of young people, so not actually solving the problem that we have, but more of a tackling that cuts in society that happened and trying to make one step at a time to actually make a difference, even if it's on a smaller scale. Go ahead. So we wanted to create opportunities for people to express themselves, and we wanted to strengthen the relationships between people, and still have this deep respect that even if we're different, even if we have different opinions and different directions with regards to the political events or the any social issue, it's still, we can still coexist with each other in one place. And the project is also based on a belief that we all have in common as artists. So before actually Ulafa'a started, we all had this idea to participate in the art scene in Bahrain, because it's kind of a very mild little art scene, and we wanted to give something back to the society through the things that we love and through the things that we are passionate about. So we're basing this idea of Ulafa'a that people can express themselves, but not really in violent ways or so on, that can actually have creative ways to express themselves and celebrate differences. And that these expressions can facilitate communication, people can actually relate to it, people can understand it, and probably not actually attacking someone with your own opinion, but rather do it in a very subtle, poetic way, let's say. So this is our team. We are coming from different skills, different backgrounds, different regions of, areas in Bahrain. And each one has this common objective or aim, as that we want to make a difference through art. So this is where the fun part is. We didn't want to make it very more of a lecture thing. So now starting with each one, it's just a brief idea of what each one is doing or passionate about. So each member of the Ulafa'a team will talk about their roommate here.
Tam is my roommate, so I'll be talking about her. Tam works with installation art. She is also very, very funny. And she does a lot of work that actually challenges society. This is one of her art pieces, which is part of a zine, which is sort of like a mini magazine, where she questions society about wearing a hijab and what it means to society and how you're perceived. And she's also such a sweetheart.
Thank you. Neda, on the other hand, is another sweetheart. She's actually born from an artistic family, so she was born in a very creative atmosphere, and she was learning painting since she was little, and she tried different things. So she had paintings, she has also her own zine, and trying to experiment new things, and she has a really good position. She's working in like a museum, and so participating in more of a cultural events as well. Who's next?
Ali. Okay. Sorry. I'm gonna be introduced later. Ali is my roommate. You can see him there. Obviously, he's a photographer. He really likes taking photos of birds. Yeah, he has like a collection and stuff. He's newly experimenting with pasting. I don't know if you know that in art. Pasting and what else?
Collage.
Yeah, collage.
Irid. Well, Irid is not with us here today, but she's a very lovely girl, and she is, one of the things that she's passionate about is Korean language for some reason. She's a painter and she do large murals.
I'm going to be introduced later as well. So, Betul, she is an architect student at the University of Bahrain. She is a fashion stylist and okay, I'm nervous. And she's my roommate. And she also started her own fashion line, and she's really photogenic and cool.
Well, Ed.
That's me.
Ed is a very amazing illustrator and calligrapher. When I first met him 2 years ago, and I looked at his work, I was like, this is too strange for me. Okay, I can't read this. Well, he showed me the way how to read it, and he actually gave me the incentive of doing calligraphy myself, like trying actually to go in the field, because at the time I met him, it was my own time to explore art. It was my own time to go to the scene, to find my own medium. So he was one of the people who helped me a lot. I would say Ed is more of a handy guy. He'll always carry a toolbox with him everywhere. He likes to fix stuff, and you can depend on him. That's the good thing about him. So.
Hussein, what can I say about Hussein? Hussein is a photographer. He won so many awards, one in Turkey, one in Germany, one in Spain, and a lot in Bahrain, right? What else? He doesn't like to talk a lot. I met him at Ulafa'a 4 months ago, and we became best friends.
Khalid is also not here with us today, but he's one of the most sensitive guys in our group. He has no experience in art, but he is so passionate about directing films and reading more about Tarantino and Scorsese. But he has a way of looking at things differently, and through his art and through his smartphone camera, he just explores things and the beauty behind objects and color compositions throughout left-out objects that tells the stories that are somehow neglected. So you're going to see a lot of his work as well in the coming exhibition.
Mr. Mubarak is my brother and my friend. He's gonna join us tonight. He's arriving tonight at 11.
Yeah.
And he's a student in SCAD, College of Art and Design. He's studying architecture. He's pretty much good at everything.
What's the name of school?
SCAD.
Savannah College of Art.
Yes, Savannah College.
Hamad. Well, Hamad is our spoiled kid because he's the youngest of our group, and he started doing filmmaking since he was 9 years old, and you can see that this is his passion, and he adapted that passion all the way till today, and he produced a lot of amazing videos, and you can check his work out.
It's really good.
Wasan, she's my fun-sized friend. She is a mass communication senior student. She's very passionate about the documenting short films. She actually participated in many projects, and that has been exhibited in Bahrain. And she has a very strong and close relationship with this student in Bahrain that its name is Maram Masood. And she's currently working on her solo exhibition that's gonna be exhibited in September.
I would want to introduce my friend Yasser. He is interior designer graduate from NYIT as interior designer. He is an artist. He won last year Nasser bin Hamad Award in architecture, and he is now a teacher in high school.
All right. Those are a couple of also Ulafa'a members, but they cannot make it for also here. They actually joined a bit late after one of the first events. Brahim Rashid is an IT geek, as he calls himself. So he's the technician of the group, making things happen or making our ideas into reality. Hamad Ashar, or as he called himself, Jay, he is a musician. And he actually also, you can also see it in the video, he joined us after he saw us providing free hugs. And since that day, he just hooked, really. And he's now trying to make a soundtrack music for the group. So, now that you have a bit of idea of each individual in the group, we face few challenges as individuals and as a team within each other and us with the community. First of all, we have the challenge of actually listening to each other and having this sort of respect. Of course, when we started, it was a bit of, it took us a bit of time to break the ice and actually get along with each other, in more comfortable ways. We grew up really close to each other. As you can see, everyone knows everyone else. And how actually the biggest challenge is how to put your beliefs on the side and your directions, your political or social directions on the side, and willing to accept someone else to do something together. This is one, and on the other hand is how to actually present something to the society without telling them to, opposing them or forcing something on them. So we started with few little things. We thought of going back to the things that brought us together, or the common ground, the common feelings we share as human beings. And going back to the time where Bahrain were actually doesn't have that vocabulary about Sunni and Shi'i, because, for example, me, I have a mixed family. My uncles married Shi'i women, and it wasn't any kind of a problem there. Nobody actually spoke about it. And even with the time of the unrest, it caused so much trouble. And as I'm sure of a lot of people who are actually mixed, suffered from that, conflict between where to go and what side to choose. So all of us here choose, even if we have some opinion, or even if we're lenient towards one direction or one side, we choose to make a difference. We choose to actually step aside and try to fix things between people, at least, not really political things, but mend that wound. So a little a rough idea about the working process and how did we start. Go ahead. So we have a series of things. First we met and we introduced ourselves to each other. We got to know each other more. We had brainstorming sessions. We started with screening examples from around the world. We also looked at a few examples from Brandeis University, acted together, like for example, and see how actually art can make a difference. Then we went through different discussions with each other, introduction about conceptual art. We're trying to seek different opinions every time. And this is what like the few other points is what we're aiming to do, which is more of an interactive art and community art, which is like engaging the community. I'm going to talk about it also later on. And we're aiming to wind up with a final exhibition. So this is one of the first activities that we did together, which is a group walk. We took 2 cities, like Manama Souq, which is the capital, all the way to Adliya, which is more like the art hub. It was a walk of 3 hours, and we first had breakfast, and then we took pictures all the way to the other city, and it was more of a social thing, and as well as noticing the things that were not noticed before. Go ahead. We had also discussions with artists and curators. We met a few people, owners of galleries there, and we also tried to introduce ourselves a lot with the artists who made a career in art, you know, along the year in Bahrain, even artists in residence as well. This is, for example, here we were screening JR's talk in TEDx. It was very inspiring. We had Skype conference. This is when we actually were talking to you. Yeah, so you can see, like, of course, if you didn't recognize the one in the middle, this is Muhammad before the new look. All right, come on. And this is also important, like we connected with BFRCD, which is the Bahrain Foundation of Reconciliation and Civil Discourse. This foundation actually got credited by the Crown Prince. So they actually have workshops, lectures on how to, you know, listen to each other, respect, and more of a therapy and group therapy and so on. So of course we had to go in there. And this also helped us in accepting each other more and how to deal with each other, like the team mechanism that we had. So we participated in that, and we're also planning to get more in touch with them and see how we can collaborate with them in different ways. So this is where our video summary is. Basically, we want to show you brief ideas of what kind of events that we were participated in. We have 3 main events that we played part in, and you can see how we started with a few little, you know, tasks.
So while you're setting that up, let me just share something that I've learned from being with these folks over the last day and a half, which helped me understand the context. It seems like, as we know happens in many situations of conflict, there may be differences of opinion, but they're not necessarily associated so strongly with different ethnic groups. But like we know that in the former Yugoslavia, there were many mixed marriages and many community groups and families that were quite mixed. And then once the violence started, the media and other organs in society sort of led people maybe to identify with one, like in this case the Sunni and the Shia. So there are people here who, you know, had very close friends who no longer will talk to them. So this idea of building relationships is very critical because it's kind of interrupting this cycle of division that we know can so tragically lead to violence. So you've helped me really understand, if I stated it correctly, I hope, what part of this context is.
This may be jumping ahead in your presentation, but maybe you could give us a little idea of what this week is about, or is that coming later in your presentation? I don't need to be out of order.
I think it's fine. Do you want to say it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, so this week is about building a relationship between Brandeis and this artist group in Bahrain, but also focusing on oral history in particular and visual art, since we all have people visual artists here, by doing some oral history and art activities within this group, and then between this group and different groups of Brandeis students, including both undergraduates and students at the Heller School, who are taking different versions of my Arts of Building Peace class. And also looking at many examples from different parts of the world about how artists are engaging with communities and engaging with communities in ways that interrupt cycles of violence or that are, addressing injustices in nonviolent ways and also building bridges across difference. And we're even looking towards a reconciliation. I mean, it's not exactly, in my sense, a moment of reconciliation in Bahrain because the violence is still so strongly ongoing. But anyway, we're exploring these things and offering some examples. And then by the end of the week, we'll be developing ideas for this group to bring back home. And we'll be doing some workshopping of those ideas with Brandeis folks. Yeah. Anybody want to add anything about how it's going so far?
Great.
I paid her.